Thanks again for tuning back into the channel. In this week's video, we're going to be looking at creating shadows in the backgrounds of images or indeed over the model themselves. Now, this is normally achieved by the use of gobos in the studio and focusing lights. But if you don't have access to that type of equipment, but you want that effect, this is one way you could do it yourself. With your image selected, create a new layer and then in this case use the rectangle tool. We're going to create slats for this background shadow and then I'm going to flood fill that on a new layer in black. For this effect to work, we have to ensure that snap is on. The next is use the move tool and holding down the Alt key, drag down once and that will copy it onto a new layer. If you now hold Alt and Shift, it will drag it down at the same intervals. Once we've got there, combine them all together by pressing Command or Control and E. Now that they're on their own layer, go up to Filter and go into Gaussian Blur. And in Gaussian Blur for me, this is set at 11.1 for this effect and simply click OK. The next step is go in and choose a soft light for this effect. From here, you can adjust this, and in my case, I'm going to rotate it slightly just to show you that you can adjust it and scale it. And in this case, I want the eyes to show, so I'm going to move it around slightly just to get the effect I'm after. Once you're happy with this, just hit the return key or click OK and then add any preset or any adjustments you want to get your final effect. You can even pull back the opacity of the layer slightly. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at adding slightly more detail to our shadows. So in this case, it's follow the same steps and then combine them all into one layer. And in this case, I'm making slatted blinds for this so that we can see how that effect is. And again, on a new layer, I'm taking the string for the slatted blinds and holding down Alt, copying them onto different layers. Once that's complete, bind them all into the one layer and then on a new layer, I'm going to add slightly more detail to them to provide a little bit more realism. So in this case, what I'm doing is just adding a rectangular marquee just here at the edge of each blind. And in this case, I'm filling it in with flood fill with white. Once again, we need to copy these down through all the slats. So it's a case of with snap enabled on your desktop, you hold down Alt, and using the move tool, drag them down. Now as you drag them down, you position the first two roughly where you think they'll be, and then the following ones will snap into place at the same distance. Once you've achieved that, bind these all together into one layer, and then again holding Alt, and this time holding Shift, drag them across and place them where you want them to be on that side. Once you're happy with that, combine all these into the first base layer. We're then going to go into multiply for this blending mode and turn the opacity down slightly. But what we're going to do with these blinds is we're going to change them in size slightly, and we're also going to change the slight perspective. So if we go in to perspective and just grab the middle and tilt it slightly. Now what this does is this gives us the option of two blank spaces at either side. So to fill these in on that layer, simply go into the paint bucket tool and with black selected, click in the areas you want to fill, and as you see, it filled both. Again, went into Gaussian Blur and adjusted the Gaussian Blur to suit this image. For this one, we're going to use the same method, except this time we're going to fill the boxes that we create with white. And then using the move tool and holding down Alt, we're going to drag one down. Now to make this easy, I'm going to combine both of these two layers together by simply pressing Command and E, and then again holding Alt and Shift at the same time, dragging these out until I get the spaces exactly as I want them. Once I've done that, I'm going to combine all the layers together, Command and E, and then again, I'm going to use the Gaussian Blur. This time with the blend mode, I am going to go in and again choose soft light. And once again, you can move these around to however you want them for your images, and you can even turn the opacity down if you feel it's affecting your image too much. It is entirely up to you. Last but not least, we're going to use circles this time, but you will notice that as I copy these down, they are staying on the same layer. The reason for that is I still have the first one selected. Once I'm happy with that, I can deselect it, and then I can use Alt and Shift in the keyboard and just move it across to where I want. Now this time I want them to alternate slightly, so I'm going to drop them down about there, and then I'm going to continue this process across the rest of the document. Once I'm happy with that, I'm combining all the layers together by pressing Ctrl or Command and E. Now what I'm going to do again is I'm going to get into the Gaussian blur and just blur these slightly. And for this effect, I'm going to use soft light yet again. Now, as I don't want these over the model, I'm going to select the model layer, and I am going to choose select subject, and that way she will be selected. And then I'm going to go back up into the dots layer and press the mask button, and then Command and I to invert the mask, and that will put all the dots on the background layer. From here, just decided to go in and colorize these just to show you that it can be done. Although it's black dots, we need to lighten it up slightly, and we can adjust the saturation and then adjust the hue of it to what we want for your final image. Hopefully you get something from that, and hopefully it just lets you see how easily you can create your own shadows in the backdrops. Now, as you know, I work with a grey backdrop, but this can be done with any colour of backdrop. Currently I'm working on the art of Photoshop, and I just thought I'd bring up a couple of images just to show you what the book and the tutorial series will involve. So if you're interested in that at all, please look out for it in future videos. Thanks again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.